Future DiverCities project, I maybe introduce, since it is our first webinar, I introduce very briefly what this is about. Okay, so what we do with Future DiverCities as a Creative Europe project is somehow thinking and transforming, thinking about places and transforming these places in several locations across Europe with cultural and creative interventions. So we are doing this since 2023 now, I would say, okay? So 2022, in fact, but let's say that then we have at least a couple of years of activity in each of the 8 pilots of the project. And so we consider that somehow time has come to share our knowledge, or at least the knowledge that was developed within our communities. Okay, so each partner of Future DiverCities does not work alone, but always with a group, a plethora of different actors. We develop our activities with. And so the idea here was basically to cross our knowledge and our local partners' knowledge, and somehow enlarge the capacities of this collective. Okay, that's why somehow we call this practice and knowledge sharing series. Okay, and somehow it's an experiment on how to stimulate collective intelligence on some specific themes. So I would say what we did in the previous months was to ask to every pilot to nominate someone that could really share useful insights on what we do, what they do locally. And what I tried to do was clustering these proposals around themes. So somehow trying to find those common elements that could trigger a debate, and more in general, provide inspiration to our participants. So this talk and the next 6 talks that will go on every month in 2025 are mainly aimed at sharing this knowledge within our group of partners. But as you can also maybe see from who's participating in the call, this is open also to other external persons that maybe are not working in their everyday life in the Future DiverCities project, but that are practitioners in the field of art, culture, urban regeneration, and that might want to join this conversation. So very briefly, after this introduction, I will introduce the 3 speakers we have today, and I thank you for being here, okay, and for sharing your experience. And as you might have read, the title of this first talk is Making a Garden to Make a Community. Okay, so the garden here, it's physical gardens in some cases, as Arianna Pace will show us, but it's more like a metaphor of taking care of a place collectively, okay, to build communities around places. So this is what we are talking about, okay? It's very wide subject, topic. And to do so, we invited Arianna Pace, Lucian Avramescu, and Bjorn Ricketts, okay, respectively from Italy and from the pilot of artistic residencies we are running in Londown, the Florentine Mountains. Lucian is representative, let's say, of the pilot in Timisoara, okay, and he is a beekeeper, okay, so we have an artist, a beekeeper, and then we have Bjorn Ricketts from Athens that has many roles, but I would say is a cultural production manager, okay, so somehow he will explain it better. He worked on spaces and also on cultural approach to live and activate spaces in Athens. Okay, so surely you will describe this better than I can. So basically what I suggest to do is we maybe start with a round of presentation from you three. Okay, so I would give the floor, if that's okay for you, first to Arianna, then to Lucian, and then to Bjorn. Okay, if all other participants have questions, doubts, things they want to know more, just keep them, because after the presentation we will have a kind of a round table. Okay, so really with the Q&A session, and also where you will all have the opportunity to also intervene. And what else? Of course, I can give you I can ask you to share your screen if you want to present some images or something. Okay, so I think you're already enabled. In case you're not, just tell me. Lucian, Bjorn, yeah, and Arianna, if you can share your screen. And before maybe I leave it to Arianna to start with the first presentation, let's say that our guiding questions were: how can art practices foster community participation? What role does biodiversity play in urban cultural regeneration? And how can we activate vacant urban spaces for collective benefit? Of course, the three questions are tailored around our three speakers. Okay, so surely Arianna can tell us something on how can art practices foster community participation, but I invite you all to touch all the themes you feel that somehow resonate in your practice and in what you do. Okay, so please do not confine yourself in what I'm asking you only. Please, Arianna, I don't know if you can share your screen, just tell me.
Yeah, I'll try. Hello to everyone. Thank you to be here. And also thank you, Dario, Martina, Lama, for the invitation. Yeah, I'll try to share. Maybe like this. Can you see well?
It's charging. Yeah, I see. Here it is. Yes. You can just put it in full screen, but we see it. Yeah, perfect.
Is not in full screen, or it is?
Now it is. Now it is.
Okay. So I can start.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll try to start with the residency a Dimora in Londra. But in general, in my research, it's really important the search for a place. It's always fundamental. And in Londra was nice because the place we found was in collaboration with the mayor, who suggests us an uncultivated space along the lake shore, as you can see on the right. And this lake for Londra is also a symbol. It's a great meeting point, and it's also an attraction for people coming from other areas, from outside Londra. And another reason is that for me, this kind of place, so unwheeled or abandoned sometimes, hide a really great potential. So from here started the idea to create a community garden. But the most important thing is to create a participatory presence, especially during the process. During the process led to the final result of my work. So, but why a garden? Because a garden is also more than the sum of its parts. So it's more than trees, flower, and plants. And it's a place that it's constantly changing and evolving, and where multiple encounters take place, so between the visible dimension but also the inner sensitivity of the gardener or the visitor. So that invisible part allows us to become children again, and to be explorers or to wander in general. But on the practicals, so that's our image about the final result. Yes. On the practical side, it was important work the land with the inhabitants, and it was like an excuse to be together, so taking care of ourselves and at the same time of our environment. And after analyzing different contexts in the area, for example, there are those who cultivate their vegetable in the traditional way, or those who have farm, those who use permaculture, or those who grow their garden, for example, in a pot. So I asked the inhabitants to donate plants, and I could plant them in the community garden. That it's also a way to find something of ourselves when you decide to go inside the garden and to explore it and to recognize also ourselves. And I can show you some picture. I also plant different flowers, seasonal flowers. We discover, for example, the secret place, little corner with really special and magical things. And then I decided to make this small iron gate and two other similarly shaped structures that invite visitors to enter in the garden and explore it. And then other things, I'll show you something. Is that I also decide to make an engraving on metal, and that for me was another way to explore the garden. Because that simulates the process of creating the garden. So the act of digging, tracing, shaping organic matter is reproduced on the metal surface, on the metal plate. So the grooves traced to accommodate plants become marks and will be filled, in this case, not with plants, but with ink, and reveal like an interior landscape or an interior garden. That's mine, but you can see whatever you want. But to go deep in my research, let's tell me about another project with a similar development. And this one, it was in my hometown, Pesaro. Pesaro, which was the Italian capital of culture last year. So I found a building that was now considered like an industrial archaeology, a farmer brick kiln. And I asked myself, what happens when a building loses its primary function? So, because there is no interest in taking care of something that does not generate profit. And I think in this case, the art, it's really important also to celebrate the presence of absence. So I decide to search that invisible dimension. Today, the new inhabitants of the kiln are plants, animals, insects, and also some little spirits. And even for this project, I decide to involve the community, namely a school. School is the #1 space for growth and transformation. So that's the space is also not eligible, it's abandoned place. And my goal was to create a sense of belonging. So in order to give back to the kiln a new function, non-productive function, but a social function. So I created workshop to develop a practical memory where emotions are involved in with the entire body and not only the mind, not just the mind. And we reproduce the cycle, the brick cycle, starting from the raw materials, so water and mud for the clay, as you can see. It was really funny. And then we build the bricks and other shapes just to have fun. That are part of my final sculpture, but I show you after. The kiln, the spirits of the kiln, something like that. And then I also collaborated with the botanist who explained the plant to the children, and we create a kind of herbarium of the kiln, and we engraved these plants on the bricks. So we studied them, and that way is also it's also a way to learn from the place and to yeah to have different also scientific documentation. And yeah, we engrave the plants on the bricks. And again, also in this case, the that that bricks are part of my final sculpture, so that was also important. As you can see, they are the base of the sculpture, and my sculpture is like a reminiscent of the kiln, the chimney, the kiln chimney. Is this one? And in additional to the metal and terracotta structure, I made a small artist book that looks like a little brick and contains all the documentation of the project. And this was important because while the sculpture is fixed on the ground, so as to be approached to, in order to appreciate or to have a good look at it, the book project can travel and reach more people, and also you, if you are interested. So it contains all the workshop we made together, and also some curatorial text. And there is a text brought by an architect. Funny moment. Yeah. And just to, yeah, I think I'm in conclusion, yeah, I really think that I believe that the artist-led collaboration can really stimulate the people involved toward new perspective, and maybe why not improve the quality of our life. So yeah, thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Arianna. I have a lot of questions, but I won't ask them now. I just wrote them down in my notebook, and I keep them later, maybe for the really more conversational part. Thank you for the beautiful images. First of all, it was great to see that, and also for everything you presented. So we come back to you in a while. I will now give the floor to Lucian. Let's say just one link with what you just said, Arianna. You said that in the end, inhabitants of abandoned places are more than just humans. Okay, so I guess Lucian can tell us a lot on that. Okay, so Lucian, I don't know if you have a presentation also to share. In case you can share your screen. Just give it a try to see if it works.
One moment.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm trying to share now. I think, okay. Is it visible?
Yes, it is. Yes. Also, in your case, try to put it full screen if you can. Perfect.
Something like this.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will start with a very short intro about myself. As Dario already mentioned, I'm a beekeeper at the third generation. Besides this, I'm also an automotive engineering with more than 18 years of experience, and I'm trying to combine these two passions. I also finished a master on honey traceability using blockchain technology, and last year I started a PhD on honey analysis in our area, Banat area, around Timișoara for the last half of century. I run a apiary of more than 120 beehives, and in the last years I started to focus on educating people around us by holding beekeeping workshops, honey tasting events, and apiary visits for schools and kindergartens, and not only. This is how I got in contact with Greenfield. Greenfield is a concept of urban gardens in Timișoara. It's like 3 kilometers away from the city center, and we started a series of workshops together with them in 2023. And last year, together with Ply and Greenfield, we discussed about an artistic intervention that could change that space around the urban gardens. So this is how was born this beautiful structure that helped us and had a major contribution in what we were building at Greenfield. So as I mentioned, we have workshops and apiary visits. Here is we can see picture is from last year. We had last year 4 events, and we had participants starting from a few months old till 19 and something years. So the events are suitable for every age. And the children are most excited about what we are doing there. They have the opportunity to see the bees, to learn about bees and about diversity, and also to taste different types of honey and different types of other bee products like pollen, and taste different varieties of colors and textures. And here are some pictures, let's say before and after. In 2023, we were not that organized, everything was improvised. And after we had this establishment built up by Ply, everything was more organized, and we had a feeling that it really belongs there. Yeah, we can see in the picture that we had a dedicated space, and the shape of the structure was very suitable for our kind of activity. It provided also shade from the sun, and we also protected in case of rain, so it helped us a lot to grow the community. So we had at one event even around 50 participants, and during the four events, I think we had more than 150 different people that attended the the visits in the apiary and the workshops. And what's most important is that some of them attended more events that I held there. So slowly we are growing a community there around bees. Here are some other pictures from our events. So we have also an observatory beehive. Through the glass window, kids and also their parents can watch the bees. And after I tell them a little bit about the life of the bees and the importance of the bees in our ecosystem, then we gear up in special bee suits, and we are heading over the apiary. And there they have the opportunity to see again the bees, but this time in their real environment. So yeah, the space, as Dario mentioned, is populated not only by humans but only also by insects, and in our case we build all of this around beehives and bees. Everyone is very curious about what's inside there, and they are looking for the queen. If we are lucky, they can also spot the bee queen. Yeah, here we see everyone that is equipped and suited up for going to the apiary, and we are leaving behind the artistic intervention that Ply done there. Again, something from the apiary. I was showing a frame covered with bees to the interested people there, and if we are lucky, kids have the opportunity to hold drones on their hands. So if we are in summer where we have plenty of drones, as we know, drones don't have they cannot sting. They don't have a needle, so they cannot sting. And kids are very excited when they have the ability to hold a drone in their hands and touch it and feel actually feel the bees. Yeah, the lucky ones can spot the queen bee. As you might know, it is marked by the beekeeper, so we can identify it easier, and we also know the age of the bee of the queen bee by the color that's on her back. Some other picture from the urban gardens. Diversity is at its home there. So besides bees, we have also different species of plants, and also a pond that is populated with fish and with water plants. We had an interesting event where the attendees had the opportunity to harvest the honey by their own, and everybody contributed to this. We uncapped the honey, then we spin it in the centrifugal device, and after that it was filtered and bottled by every participant, and at the end everyone received a free gift by spending time with the community there, and they had a jar of honey bottled by themselves. Just some other pictures from the event. We can see that everyone is involved and curious and asking questions about what's happening inside the beehive. Thank you very much. And after all the presentations, I'm of course open for discussions and for questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Lucian, for the beautiful images. And maybe later, I think we also have here other people from Timisoara pilot. So maybe I'm very curious also to know a little bit more about the structure that hosted you, because that is just great, at least it seems. But all questions and debate after, as you said. Okay, so I would move from Romania to Greece, and let's say from beekeeping as a mean of activation and sociality to cultural programming more at large in Athens. Okay, so I would leave the floor to Bjorn. I don't know if Bjorn, I see you, sorry. Okay, perfect. Let's have just a check. Let's see if it works. Okay, we hear you. That's great.
Great. I'm in a bit of an echo chamber here.
Yeah. But it's okay. I think we hear you properly. I don't know if you have a presentation to share or you just.
Yes, I do. I wanted to say hello to Lucian and Ariana as well. Thank you for being here with me as well. I'm just going to share the screen with you.
Okay, it is going. Let's see.
Perfect. Are you with me?
Yes, we can see also the share screen now. Thank you, Björn.
Great. So, first of all, hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Bjorn Ricketts. I'm not from Greece. I was born in London about 1970. And I grew up in North London in a neighborhood called Holloway, which was a pretty ethnically diverse neighborhood at the time. It was kind of predominantly Irish and Greek Cypriot, Italian. It was an immigrant hood, but a lot of good times and experiences there. And I guess it was growing up in this community that I kind of fell in love with cinema. Film and music have always been very big passions of mine. And the first picture that I want to show you is this was my local cinema. This was also a cinema that I ran. And this is the company that I worked for about 12 years since my second year of university. I started selling popcorn there. The company was called Odeon Cinemas. At the time, they had about 108 multiplexes in London, about 800 screens altogether. And when I left university, they offered me a job in a management training program. And by the time I had left, I had managed 2 of these venues, and I was doing the marketing for 30 of the Odeon cinemas in London. I have to say that I think this was my real education, to be honest with you, because it was trying to mix business with culture, which is a very difficult thing to do. We were operating venues in an environment which was predominantly monopolized by American Hollywood movies. But within these London communities, we had very ethnically diverse populations that wanted to see films from their own country or from neighboring countries. So for me, it was a very fascinating time because we tried to actually accommodate those films. And I learned something very important about a cinema. It was a very important beacon in a local community. We used to say that the community was always within 15 minutes of your building. So we would always go out and try to reach out to the community and try to find out what films they would like to see. And yeah, so that's let's say my formative years. After 12, 13 years of working for this company, I decided to go it alone, and I started my own distribution company, which is, I guess, the marketing, the branding, and the communication of the movie. We did some films from Europe. We did some films from Asia. We released a lot of niche films, if you like. But the cinema industry in the UK is very tough. And around, I think, 2010, I pivoted and I decided to go into another form of film distribution, which was on DVD. And this actually allowed me to move from London to Greece. And it allowed me to go on to the next slide, which is, I guess, my first cinema project, which was a cinema in Sifnos. Sifnos is a very beautiful village, very beautiful island in the Cyclades. I had been going to this island for something like 8 years. And when the DVD market kind of started to go into decline, I needed to find something to do with myself, and B, some way to also make some money on the side. And Sifnos had not had a cinema in 35 years, so I thought, okay, we'll open cinema. And it was a free cinema with donations. The cinema itself used to be it was an abandoned garden, actually. I don't know if you can see, there is a kind of a watermill in the bottom right picture. And adjacent to the garden, there was a late 18th century neoclassical building, which had morphed into some kind of a school and had become abandoned. So we tried to revive this space through the cinema. And I operated this cinema for 5 years. And now this land, which was donated to the local people, is operating as a cinema, a theatre, and they have a ceramic school. But we're still trying to get the garden up and running again, and trying to make the space useful for the community, which it had been given to the community, but for some reason it hadn't been used for a considerable time. And I guess this brings me on to where I am now, and I think we need to, maybe I wanted to say something about the history of the area where I work at the moment. I moved from Sifnos to Athens, and it was quite weird, actually. I actually came to the building that I work at now to see if they had a cinema at the time, and they said that they had chairs made from car tires. So I just came to check out the chairs, actually, but I'll get back to that. So the neighborhood where I work is called Metaxogiou, and obviously Athens is a very ancient city. Its history spans something like three millennia, but we're not going to go that far back. We just have to go back to 1832, when the modern, I guess, modern state of Greece is born. And Metaxourgeou, as you can see in the top left-hand corner, it was really pretty much just fields. And the land was actually earmarked to become a very aristocratic neighborhood. And there was a lot of land speculation. And instead it became a garment industry, a garment area. Metaxourgeou itself means silk. And this neighborhood from 1820s up until, let's say, the mid-1950s was predominantly well known for garment manufacturing and all of the, let's say, ancillary industries that operated around it. The building where I'm located, it was originally built in the 1930s, and it would have been built as one of the first industrialized factories. It would have been a factory where predominantly where women and children would have been employed to work. It was a predominantly communist neighborhood, very, very working class, very poor. And here we are today. So this circle represents I don't know if you can see, how would you describe this? There's in the very center of that circle is basically 28 Paramikou. And this building is the one that I'm saying is erected in 1930. By the 1990s, the majority of Metaxourgeou had fell into decline. All of the industries and the tertiary industries surrounding the garment manufacturing industry had declined, and people left the neighborhood. So there was also a population decrease. Prostitution became the main how would you say, industry activity and industry in the neighborhood. And heroin use or heroin abuse has become, and to this day, has become one of the biggest problems in the neighborhood. So where you see the building in that circle, the streets on the left and the right of it, all along are bordellos. And what we have now in the neighborhood is a very, I guess, interesting contrast. I'm going to just show you some footage of the block behind Paramikou. If you see the collapsed roofs, these are neoclassical buildings that date from the late 1800s, intermixed with kind of new concrete installations. None of these buildings are necessarily abandoned either. The junkies will go in there to use them to shoot up, or in the winter time, they will use them to try to stay warm. I want to go back to one picture shortly. No, I want to go forward to one picture. I've lost the picture. Sorry, I've lost my place in the pictures. There was one bit in Taxodia. There's a black and white. Sorry, guys, I've lost my place there. Is it before? Oh, yeah, I wanted to point out that this building on the bottom right-hand corner of the picture. If you go back to the video, 215. That building is basically demolished, and this is what was erected in its place. An unfinished, I guess, concrete monstrosity. this is kind of Metaxogear today. It's a mix of the ordinary and the extraordinary, a heroin junkie, 200 meters from a Michelin star restaurant, or a very nice, expensive gallery. It's a real mishmash of things, basically. These pictures are, the picture on the left is literally right next door to our building. And we are trying to work with the local charities who come and offer heroin users clean syringes. We're trying to remove the protruding needles that the heroin users use off of the streets, and we're trying to replace them with the retractable syringes that don't cause any harm to the public. We're trying to increase the use of sharp boxes. And I think it's a sign of impermanence. I mean, they won't be there forever, but we have to try to deal with this situation now. But they are one of our neighbors. This is a picture of the building from the time when I first came to know it. I've been at this building for 7 years now. And when I came to the building, it was offered, the building was on the real estate market as an ideal opportunity for a boutique hotel. And the owners had allowed various teams to come inside of the building and utilize it. I think it was a mixture of owners wanting to show some benevolence, and at the same time, they wanted to stop the building from depreciating in structure and value. So we were there for the last 7 years of the building while it was on sale. And these are some of the things that we did. I mean, to be honest, there's hundreds and thousands of activities that we did at the building. One activity involved building a communal oven and showing these processes, encouraging performance artists to come, and commenting was a very important factor in the building. And just trying to be creative, use the space. I mean, the space is totally modular. And then I want to go back to what I was saying to you before about my own passions, because I obviously had a big passion for cinema. And I was lucky enough to be involved with a lot of film shoots at this building. Yeah, the film shoots at the building were very special for me, from whether it was a crew of 5 people to 60 or 80 people. Utilizing this space as a location was probably one of the greatest joys of my life, to see films shot there. And it was my dream come true, because that's, you know, from being a kid, I just wanted to be around all of these kinds of toys, basically. So the situation today is that, unfortunately, the association that was there before, they left the building when the building was purchased by the BIOS group. And I have to say, it's been kind of very politically awkward it seems to me that we had a community when I look back at the activities that we did, but most of those communities, they have moved on, or they've left the neighborhood. And again, we're going through another impermanence where the demographics of the neighborhood are changing, and the building is in the process of still being renovated. So in 5-6 years' time, I can be looking at a neighborhood where maybe there are no heroin users on the streets, but maybe there are no working class community there either. We have a diverse ethnic community still. There's a large Chinese community, a large Georgian community. And I guess now as Plex, oh, sorry, these are some more shots of the building from our film shoots where we utilized the rooms as locations. And if you look at this shot, for example, you can see some of the history of the building through the signage. There's a blue sign sticking out from one terrace, which is for a French designer called Pierre Couragez, who was actually quite a well-known fashion designer. You can see there's a sign that says Sophie-plex. Plex means weaving, and Sophie, this is the weaving of Sophia, or from this area of Greece. This is a caricature that was drawn around the time that the building was being sold. And this was a very painful time for a lot of people that felt that they were being disenfranchised from the building and, being kicked out, if you like. And here we are today. It's kind of like a new day, a new beginning. We still have some film shooting going on. We did like 4 shoots since the end of last year up until now. But we're still trying to get our, mojo together, but we are experimenting with visual artists, with performers of all kinds to try to come back and bring back the community to the neighborhood. And I think we have a film club with discussion. Yeah, we're there. We're still trying. We're trying to bring back the community, trying to create new communities. And I hope that is less than 15 minutes. Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot to you, Bjorn, for this journey through time and space, I would say, yeah, because we moved from London to the Cyclades to Athens, and even in the same place, we have seen how somehow it has been transformed by different uses, and yeah, I would say all the different dynamics that interested the space. Also, in this case, I have a lot of questions, but I won't ask anything, okay? And I would love, first of all, to give the floor to the audience just to see if there are some questions that maybe came up to your mind and that you want to ask to one of the speakers, or even to more than one, if there are some transversal questions. So let's see if there is someone just can put on your mic and ask something. Let me check. Yeah, I see. Elizabeth, please.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for your presentations. It was really super interesting to discover the sites from that point of view and from your vision on that one. It's not directed to one actor in specific, but I just wanted to know a bit on the topic, your biggest challenge in relation to the theme of impermanence, let's say, kind of, or how was that approach for you in the implementation, if it was approach or if it was something a bit from afar?
Thank you, Elizabeth. I guess impermanence is one of the main topics we are working in, and also with what we do. So it's very, very relevant question. And I don't know if Arianna, Bjorn, Lucian, some of you want to already say something on this. Arianna, please.
Yeah, I can answer. In my case, the sculptures are permanent, so the little gate and also the chimney. And the idea is, I really hope that the people that have the house near the chimney and the inhabitant that lives in Londa have the opportunity to take care of the sculpture, because now it's not it's also my sculpture, but it's for the community. So the idea is to it's another way to collaborate and maybe in the future it's also interesting see the mutation, the transformation. So maybe some plants start to grow on the gate, on the little gate, or on the sculpture. But yeah, the idea is to leave my sculpture to the community and hope that, yeah, they to have their collaboration. But it's not easy. I know it.
Perfect. I don't know if Bjorn, Lucian, also you want to react on that, or you can also retake it later on when you will answer to other questions.
I'll have a go. I mean, I
Please.
find impermanence, it sounds such a poetic word as well. Like, and as I understand it, it's, you know, like lasting for a short period of time. And I don't know, I guess we are also here for a short period of time. So, you know, for me, I guess the focus is the building and trying to actually leave the building in a good pair of hands for the next generation to come along, because the building's going to be here longer than, you know, everyone. So yeah, I'm just trying to get the building in the right shape and be prepared for the future.
Thank you, Bjorn. And if Lucian has no, you do, please go.
Yes, also from our side, the structure is made of wood, so it will last for a few years at least. And while that it will have a major impact in that area, because it's a private area, but it's open to the public, so everyone can access to it and benefit from its presence there. And of course, not only beekeeping events, but it can be opened for every other type of activities to the community.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. You know, so the being first, the capacity for space is to be multi-purpose, let's say, you know, so the fact that they can host very, very different things. I don't know if there aren't other questions. I will maybe throw in some questions I noted down. Well, first of all, and I think this applies to what Arianna presented, but it can apply also to you. So that's a question not for Arianna, but for the three of you. And then, of course, it's Arianna intervention that came up to my mind. And it is about somehow rediscovering spaces. At a certain moment, you said something about that. No? So in your case, you were working on a space that was well known by people using it for the artistic purposes. No, you were proposing. So maybe I would like to know a little bit more. What are the mechanisms you try to activate with your practice in terms of rediscovering? And also of taking care, no? And also at a certain moment you said something that is very, very beautiful, and I link this also to what Bjorn said at the end, and it's the presence of absence, no? So trying to work in a way to make evident something that is not there, that maybe was there, okay? And so somehow also working on the resignification of a space for people, so giving new meaning of the space, no? So I know it's not a straight question, sorry for that, but I would like you to say something on the rediscovery, on taking care, and on how to make evident the presence of absence. Yeah, and this applies also to your other practices, Bjorn, Lucian. So I ask maybe Arianna to fire start this subject, and then maybe you jump in.
Yeah, okay, thank you for this question. It's really important, yeah. So maybe I think it's when you decide to create a residency and invite artists from outside, so that they are not born in that place, that it's a way to rediscover a place, because it's a new view, it's a new gaze. Yeah, and my first way to explore and discover a place is to to stay, and I need to be in that place and stay there. And I'm an artist, and for me, be an artist is like to be like a filter. So it's necessary be in the place and just absorb all the stimulate from outside. And then also with my sensitivity, and so share my sensitivity with the people. It's another way to rediscover, to discover a place, and to take care, and that's important. And yeah, I spoke about these two things, so participatory presence and practical memory. And that happened during the process. And practical memory, because if you study something, maybe you use all in your mind, but for me it's really important involve all the body. So do something with your hands, no? And then when you do something with your body and your hands, you can activate different emotion, and you can memorize you memorize some emotion related the action, and so that it's really important. And yeah, and it's also nice work with children, and because they are more similar to the artist, and so, and maybe it's also easier to discover this invisible part on what yeah, this kind of absence, no? Yeah, for example, the kiln, it's not for human because you can't go in, but the human, the human in general, it's really evident, because you can see bricks, the rest of the wheel of the car, or some, it's full of things. So, and yeah, so maybe, and just another important thing is to let us wonder of no, so this exercise to wonder ourselves, and yeah, and just to be open mind, and yeah.
Thank you. So participatory presence, practical memory, and exercise of wonder. These are three elements I will try to keep in mind for the rest of my life. Thank you. And maybe I jump with this almost the same question to Lucian. No? So maybe adding one point, that is the point of explicit relation with other living beings. Not that Arianna doesn't have them. Of course, she has, because she worked with the element of the garden, no? But I would say bees somehow metaphorically also remind us of what it means being a collective, no? Being a swarm somehow, no? So I don't know if this also helps participants, in your case, giving new meanings to the space they're living, not the garden in the practical case you presented. So I just wanted you to maybe draw some kind of view on what were the feelings that were activated for humans being there in the interaction with bees being there, yeah, and how that changed the way the space itself was perceived. Yeah, it's the same question of before. I'm just trying to rephrase it for your case.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Dario. Yeah, so as you mentioned, bees, they have their own special way of working collectively, and so we have a lot to learn from this, and to practice it in our lives, and using multiple inputs to be able to have something a special outcome like they have. So they don't need a leader at some points, but they have the queen there. But there are some moments where they can act by themselves collectively, and act like a swarm to have the best decisions. And also us as people can learn a lot from there. And during our events there, we could see the people interacting close together with one another, and bringing life to the more life to the urban gardens that we have there.
Okay, well, thank you, Lucian, for this. And also one point before maybe I go to Bjorn. Arianna said it also, the role of kids. No, I see the role of kids was central both in her practice and in your practice.
Yes,
and
also on
in
our
her
side.
view, it's because of the natural exercise to wonder they might have. Okay, kids. What about your case? Like how kids somehow were playing a role in that community building process? Do you feel they? Yeah, I mean, what was their role in your view? No, so why did they make the difference?
In some of the cases, I discussed with the kids and the parents, and curiosity was the main fact that brought them there, and also courage. So they are not afraid of being stung by the bees, and yeah, many of the cases, the kids insisted to the parents that they would like to go there, and they are anxious to see live the bees and feel the way that they are living.
That's great, and that I don't know how much it also applies to other cases, but I would say in many cases kids somehow push adults beyond their boundaries. No, so that's something that especially for community engagement is more relevant than we thought in many cases. So thank you, Lucian, also for this answer. Bjorn, in your case, the questions are the same, but I would also add a layer, because somehow also your intervention was, if you want more, there was a social analysis behind that. It was very, very important on how cities are transforming, no? And somehow also on the substitution between communities over time and what it meant. So, of course, still the point is how to resignify, how to give new meaning to buildings, but then we see how buildings change their meaning very, very rapidly, no? And so my question to you is about that, but it's also about what a cultural operator in general can do to link the past with the present, with the future. So does everything goes lost in the process of gentrification, of transformation of places, or are there tactics you can employ to somehow at least reduce that impact and link the past with the present, with the future, and the different communities between themselves? So it's different questions, but I would like you anyway to start from where we were, because I see that also your practice in the end is about bringing together people and helping them living in different ways, spaces.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Dario. I think the tactics are actually what I'm really trying to figure out now, because I do see it as a kind of a battle, and I do think that there are tactics that we should try to develop that can help us win back the trust of the audience who are, I guess, ideologically opposed to us, by encouraging commenting and inviting people to just be present at the building, and to not necessarily make interventions, but to invite artists to participate in exhibitions, to think of group shows that we could do together. I'm big on the history of the neighborhood. This is probably one thing that allows me to rediscover the space when I hear an oral history of the building. I like to meet people who have lived in the neighborhood or who knew people who lived in the neighborhood. I'm a bit of a cultural detective that I'm trying to find out all of the things that, because so many things have happened in that one building alone, that I'm always curious to know more. And I kind of feel that every year there should be something that commemorates the memory of the neighborhood and the building in the neighborhood. And I would like us every year to maybe create some kind of an activity or an installation of some kind that, you know, reimagines everything altogether. You know, I want to say one anecdote, because the neighborhood now, you know, if we have a party that goes on till 4 or 5 in the morning, we'll get a noise complaint from the police or something, you know. But I read a book this week, which is about the history of Mataxugu, and it's not by an established author. It was just by somebody who really loved the neighborhood and wanted to reminisce about it. And he tells one story about the factories and how there was one factory that employed hundreds of women, and they had one division that they allowed the women to sing at work. So there was music all day long in Mataxugu, and this is kind of like a tradition that still goes on to this day, despite the noise complaints from the boutique hotels and the, you know, Airbnb thing. So yeah, I think it's important to rediscover the history, to maybe embrace some parts of that history, to find artists who can maybe interpret it or put their own spin on that. Maybe to encourage people to write screenplays or plays, short stories, music, you know. And yeah, this is what we're doing basically.
Thank you for the answer. And yeah, at least on our side, from the Italian perspective, I see how it applies also to the villages we're working with, because there somehow in many artwork, not only the one of Arianna, is about reinventing tradition, where the new tradition is not the old one redone, but it's a different interpretation with different people and communities doing that, but they do that in somehow being aware of what they are recalling, okay, in their new practice. So of course, even ideally, that's a way to link the past and the present, the past community and the present community. So thank you for that. I think it's at least it's very relevant for the work we are doing here in Italy, but I guess also for other here in the virtual room. I don't know if maybe there are some other questions. Our time is almost out, but maybe we have space for one or a couple of last questions, if possible. I just look at all the cameras, just don't be shy. If you have even any curiosity, even on one speaker, just go with that. Okay, well, apparently not. So we do like in the pubs, one last call, and then we move on. Yeah, apparently no. Everything was clear to everyone. Okay. So maybe I would close it here. No, wait. We have one question. No, we have. I just wanted to say this was great. Thank you so much for the presentation and the great discussion. Thank you, Ione. Okay. Yeah, just even no questions, but even if there is something you want to share. So somehow, yeah, you see when you like make a sound and there are strings in the room, the strings start to vibrate even if no one touched them. Okay, so if something happened to your mind during this conversation, just share it. I think it's good for everyone. If not, no problem at all. Huh? Okay, well, apparently not. Thank you. Thanks for all the for all the good messages I'm reading. Thank you, Laura. Thank you again, Ione. And so, yeah, well, thanks everyone. Remember that 1 month from now, we will have another talk. This one will be on urban regeneration and sustainability. Okay, so it will be a little bit more large, I guess, a little bit less on practices, but we will try to keep it as much practical as possible, because I think also looking at what you practically do in your cultural work has been inspiring for us all. Okay. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. Okay. So I close it here. I thank again Bjorn, Arianna, and Lucian. Okay, a big virtual applause to you three. I hope this was at least useful also for you to maybe know a little bit more about each other. So if you want, just follow us in our next meetings, okay? Ideally, what we're building here is also a chain of different experiences, one after the other. So having you as audience in the next talks is surely a great added value for us all. And yeah, thank you.